Yo patrons, this is Johannes from Noisebud, and this is gonna be a long video. I'm gonna try to explain my plugin BassFlip, what it is, what it does, why I do it, and when to use it, and how to use it. And I'm gonna use version 0.94, so this is still a beta version, but the principle will remain the same. So even if at a later version, when you look at this video, the things that I talk about in this video will still be valid and will be the same. All right, we're gonna use a song from my friend Pio, a client of mine, and it's a song called When the City Sleeps. It sounds a little bit, I'm not gonna play the whole song, but it sounds like this. So it's a dubby, electronic dub kind of thing. Lovely song. All right, let's go to Reaper. We're gonna start with let's just a brief history of the effect that I'm using. Back in the days, someone clever realized that if you used an all-pass filter at low frequencies, so you rotate the phase of the lower frequencies, you could move the peak, the max peaks kind of got lower because you moved away some of the energy from the actual hit. So the signal will be less punchy, but you move things, or when you rotate the phase, you kind of keep the energy of everything. It's just how all the frequencies work together that changes. So you could kind of take some of the energy of the highest peaks, so you can lower the amplitude of the peaks by changing how the waveforms in the low frequencies looked. And by that you could gain maybe half a dB or 1 dB, sometimes 1.5 decibels in extreme cases, that you could use for different things. You could use it for making louder cuts on vinyl. You could push the signal harder into a limiter with less distortion, because the amplitude won't be as high, so you could limit more or compress more without any drawbacks. And in today we could use it to make tracks that already sound good, just measure less loud. So when playback on streaming services, it will be just playback a little bit louder without any direct or huge changes to the feeling of the sound. I feel that when you A/B compare, if you're able to A/B compare two versions, you can actually hear that some of the impact of the transient have got lost. But as soon as you take away the ability to A/B test, then I pretty much can't hear the difference. Then I would accept any of the two versions, the original or the processed one. So in that sense, it's a really small change. You take away a little bit of punch, and you get a little bit of loudness. That's the principle with the plugin. And the implementation that I made, and the differences from using an all-pass filter, because this is a very digital plugin. It does everything in the digital domain. It uses FFT before phase rotation, and the phase rotation isn't just, it's a constant phase rotation below the crossover. So it's not like it used to be that you changed the phase, but it looked a little bit different over different frequencies depending on how you set up the all-pass filter that were rotating the phase. So this is more of a controlled version of that principle. All right, so that's a history lesson. Now let's get into the plugin. So to explain this, I'm just gonna render two versions of this track with different settings. So this is the automatic setting. So pretty much default, except that I lowered the crossover from 200 to 100. I don't know why I did that, but I thought it sounded better, so I guess that's the reason. So we're gonna render this. So this is the automatic. And it takes a little while. So there we go, we have the automatic. And then we're gonna do an manual set to 57 degrees, and we do the exact same thing. We're gonna render this track and we're gonna render it to a new track so that we have the original, an automatic, and a manual version of BassFlip and the song. So here we go. We close this and we deactivate the plugins so that the original isn't affected at all. All right, let's just play through these and see if you can hear a difference. I'm guessing that if you listen really carefully and you know what to listen for, then you probably can hear a difference, at least between the original and the processed. If you could hear a difference between the two processed, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I would believe you if you said that you could. But anyway, to show you that there is a difference between these, we're going to measure the loudness. So we're going to measure the loudness of all three tracks. They sound pretty much the same, and let's see how they measure. So this is the original. It measures minus 13.1. This is the automatic mode, minus 13.5, and this is the manual, minus 13.6. So the automatic and manual are pretty similar. The idea with the automatic setting is that it will choose the settings that will be so as transparent as possible, but also reducing the highest peaks. So that's the automatic setting. Why the manual, it just applies a phase rotation and it is what it is. So in this case, the manual actually rendered a less loud, or a file that measures less loud. So, and that's normally actually the thing, but you normally also hear the manual. It's more obvious than the automatic. So that's why there are two different algorithms to use. All right, so let's normalize these so we can pretend that we are Spotify. So we normalize the 3 to minus 14 LUFS and we play them right now. We can see that the original has been turned down by 0.92 decibels and the automatic has been turned down by minus 0.48, so a little bit less, and the manual minus 0.37 decibels. And if we play these, start with the original. can hear that the normal way of perceive small changes in loudness like this is that it sounds more open and a little bit more detailed and kind of more spacious as well. So it sounds like the stereo image is wider, but it's not actually. It's really not. It's the same. It's just the loudness that fools you a little bit. So but it's a really the change is real. This is what if you hire a mastering engineer, the difference between like an automatic or AI mastering and a human master is often that a human is able to dial in settings that gives you this little, maybe half a dB or more detail, and this is one of those processes that lets you achieve that. All right, now let's go into the details. I have picked a section here where you could see the differences, and to do this we actually gonna use just the left channel. So we're gonna use the left channel, and we're going to make a little drawing thing of this. So we're gonna pick out like that about a little more than one cycle of the lowest frequency in this. So the cycle that I choose is from the lowest frequency. You can pretty much tell that there is a sine wave here. Oh, I'm gonna try to pick red. That looks something like this. Higher frequencies will ride on this, that's why it's not a even sine wave. But this is the lowest part of the mix. It's the lowest tone that you see that all the rest of the frequencies ride on. And you can see that at the beginning here, right here, down here, you can see that you hit the ceiling, the amplitude is right up at 0 decibel full scale. And you can see with the automatic setting that we have a little bit of headroom. It actually pushed that down a little bit. So we could push this harder into a compressor or a limiter or anything without it have to, the limiter or compressor won't react. Or a loudness algorithm would perceive this as less loud just because we have pushed down the peak. And the reason why that is because if this is the original waveform, if we push something in time, that means that the waveform will start later and end later. So this means that we have one start position there and the end position is there. While if we pushed something in time, the start position is about there and it end about there. So that's when you push things in time. When you phase rotate instead, that means that we still start at exactly the same position. This is the start position. It's just that we won't start at 0 and go up. We will start somewhere else. That could be down like that, and not at 0, at a negative value, and or we can start up here. Let's say that we start higher up. Let's see if I can draw this. It's not that easy to draw by hand, so let's see. It starts here. It will look something like this. So we still start at the same position. We still end at the same position. it still sounds exactly the same, but we pretty much start the waveform with the DC offset. So we start at a positive value and will end at the same positive value. So they will kind of line up and don't create glitches and stuff because we rotate the whole thing. It will still be exactly the same place in time, and that's the thing with phase rotation. It stays in time with the rest of the music, but the waveform, you change the look of the waveform. And in this case, that means that we created a less high peak. So you can see that in the original, we go up to 0 decibels full scale, but in the 2 processed, we have rotated the phase, and the effect has, because of that rotation, we have lowered the peaks because the different frequencies doesn't line up the same. So we changed how the waveform looks, but not really how it sounds. It still have the same energy. We just push the energy back and forth a little bit. All right. So, just to make this clear, that is the original, this is the auto, and this is the manual. So we have that clear. Okay, the difference between the auto and the manual. The manual will just push everything to the same degree over the whole track. It's not completely true because there's a threshold you can set to make it just affect the higher peaks, for example. But the principle is that we're just using the same degree every time a peak comes along. We just phase rotate by the same amount, so everything will be handled the same. The good thing with the manual mode is that by doing it exactly the same over the whole track, it will also stay the same. The relation between everything will stay the same. So it probably, in that sense, it's less audible. But I come to the conclusion that it was better not to try to change the original when I didn't have to. And that's the idea with the auto mode. So it constantly scans for differences where it actually can lower a peak, then it does that. But if we don't gain anything from lower the peak, then there's no reason to change the audio. So then it tries not to do that as much. So that's what you can see. If we look at it, this is the first peak there. Oh, sorry. This is obvious that, not really there. There we go. That is obvious that we have lowered the peak in the second and in the third. It's obvious. When we look at the next section of files, so around these, then you can tell a difference between the auto mode and the manual. So if we look at the auto mode, you can see that they look pretty similar in height to the original. So the algorithm has decided that they don't affect the loudness as much as this did. So we're gonna leave these alone. It's no need to do anything. While in the manual mode, the phase rotation has caused these peaks to be lower as well, which may be beneficial or not, but it's definitely more audible than this, than the auto mode. And that is the difference between the auto and manual. So it tries to achieve a signal as close to the original, as transparent as possible, but also lowering the peaks that actually matters. So that's what I'm trying to achieve, and it works in most cases. But there is a manual mode for a reason, and that is that sometimes that's just better. It's just something, yeah. So you can choose for yourself. All right, I think I pretty much explained the things that I wanted to explain with this little lesson. So I hope you enjoy the plugin, and there will be, as soon as I get to 1.0, the first official release, there will be a demo, so you can try this as well. And otherwise, if you're a patron, it's already available. Go and download it, have fun with it, and I see you with the next video or plugin or whatever I come up with. Okay, bye bye.